you're sitting, Ryan sits here, and then Mahmoud, you sit over there. Yeah. Does everybody like my neighbor over here? Yes? Me too. All right, everybody. I have the honor of being able to present the first panel of the day. And we're talking about my favorite subject, content. You guys read a lot of it and evidently create a lot of it. We're going to figure out how to monetize it, your content. So first, who are we? I'm going to have everybody in the panel go and give a 1-minute intro to themselves. Ariel, I'll start with you.
I'm Ariel Jalali, co-founder of Sensei here in Santa Monica. We have been around for 3 years, and we started off building a cross-platform knowledge network that works in chat. So we say Sensei is the most helpful person you've never met. From there, we got good, really, at knowledge attribution. And we're taking all of our learnings and all of our technology, opening that up, and allowing, as of, I guess, the last 48 hours, over 150 developers and growing to help us make sense together in the broader ecosystem of knowledge attribution.
Thank you.
What up? My name is Mahmoud. I'm very nervous right now. My company is Everpedia. It's been around 2 years. It's the new, better, soon-to-be decentralized version of Wikipedia. And it is already one of the 700 biggest sites in the US.
Excellent. Ryan.
I'm Ryan X. Charles, co-founder and CEO of Yours. I've been in the blockchain industry as a hobbyist going back to 2011, been full-time doing a number of things since 2013. One of the things I did was I was the cryptocurrency engineer of Reddit, where I sort of made a name for myself. It's a long story, but I've been interested in monetizing content with blockchain technology, micropayments in particular, for several years now. My company's been around for about a year and a half, and my co-founder and I together have more than 10 years of experience in the blockchain industry. And we're live. We've been live for about 6 weeks now. And we're fixing monetization of internet content with micropayments.
And Seraphin.
My name is Seraphin. I'm the CEO of Data Wallet. We're a C2B data marketplace, so we provide users with a self-sovereign wallet that allows them to take the data they create and store it in one place and share it with companies based upon expressive consent. So the idea is to allow people to repatriate their data, reclaim data ownership, control who gets access to their data, and profit from an asset that is rightfully theirs.
Excellent. And I'm David Waxman. I'm the founder and CEO of Waxman PR. So we're the largest blockchain-based public relations agency in the world with about 50 clients with served by 30 staff in New York and Dublin. And guess what, guys? We're hiring. So if you're in New York or want to be there, let me know. So let's talk about content. Actually, let's start with Reddit. I think that's a really interesting place to start. So Reddit is kind of the online home of crypto. No offense to Bitcoin Talk, which I know and love, and I'm sure you guys do too. But Reddit is where most of the conversation happens. And it seems like a pretty good place to start. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us how Reddit came to the conclusion that they wanted to monetize their content and maybe let the users share in, and then why didn't it work?
Yeah, so I was hired by Reddit in 2014 to bring cryptocurrency somehow to Reddit. The idea was, so the CEO at the time, his name was Ishan. His vision was Reddit was sort of its own land, and as a world of its own on the internet, it needed an economy. So he had this grand vision for how we were going to, leverage cryptocurrency, which seemed like the right way to, bring money to an internet land, would be, enable people to earn money on the platform directly. It's a long story. Yushan resigned shortly after I joined, so the project basically died because the new leadership just wasn't interested in cryptocurrency. But I think the ideas live on because many of us that, first of all, if you're involved in the project or just have thought of a similar idea or were paying attention or something like that, there does seem like an essence of an idea there that's very good, that we can use blockchain technology and cryptocurrency to make improvements in the way that we monetize content on the internet.
And people have been trying to do that for a while. There was a company called Saving America that tried to do this back in 2014 and didn't get off the ground. Steemit, of course, has done very well and is a site that many of you use as a fundamental resource. But there's lots of ways of monetizing content, and there's a lot of content out there. In fact, Seraphin, yesterday you were talking about just how much data is out there that it's starting to flood. Can you tell us a little bit about the growth of data online, data that us users don't make any money from?
Yeah, sure. There was a study conducted by Dell EMC, and they found that they started in 2012, and in 2005. 2005, you create about 240 megabytes of data each day, created and consumed.
Users do this, you're saying?
Users, yeah, exactly. And that number by 2017 is already up to 6.4 gigabytes, and by 2020, it will be 16 gigabytes. And yeah, all of that data, so 80% of that data is actually currently managed by companies on whose premises that data is created on.
Facebook, Google, LinkedIn.
Exactly, exactly. And so the majority of that data is monetized. And again, so data brokerage market right now, we expect it to be around $350 billion in the US alone.
In the US alone. And as we all know here at BlockCon, the US is just one small part of the world. That's why crypto is exploding the way it is. So, you know, companies like Endorse, for instance, which is out of Singapore, are trying to find a way of taking LinkedIn and letting users be in control of that data and also make money off of it. You're not trying to supplant LinkedIn or Facebook. You're just trying to go and use those tools as a vessel to monetize consumers' data. Explain to us a little bit of how that works.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, people create a lot of data on a variety of different platforms, right? So it's 100 plus different platforms that people usually create data on. And every data basically acts like a silo, where each silo contains a unique data set. And that data is basically acts as, if you collate it into one profile, acts as an online identity that people can, mobilize and link to other services in order to augment the services that they are getting right now. And it's also a basis for them to make money. So there's no need to really replace any of the platforms the data is currently created on.
So they're going to take their data and they're going to sell it to ad exchanges?
Ad exchanges, market research companies, potentially even to companies themselves, right? So you could think of scenarios where companies such as Amazon just simply try to learn more about their customer, right? And they can allow the customers to link data they create on different platforms to Amazon directly themselves, and in return get either a financial reward or a non-financial reward. It may be something such as simply a better service, recommendations on products that they currently do not know that you're actually interested in, because they base their recommendations solely upon what you bought on Amazon and what you have looked at on Amazon and what other people that also purchase the same products have looked at. Right?
So this is a more challenging problem than the Netflix challenge.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it's something where again, like the benefits are not necessarily just monetary, right? So it's really about like taking your data and mobilizing it has the potential to really allow you to unlock the next generation of the internet, right? There's a lot of very interesting machine learning based applications being built, and having good data in order to fuel those is really the hurdle to adoption.
Well, the data tends to be quite unstructured, especially when you're scraping from many different sites. Sensei has a unique approach to structure this data. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're really focused not on the subset of data that's the highest value of data, which is human knowledge, and some of the hardest data to structure is actually chat data, because the different twists and turns in conversations is the whole field of linguistics called conversation analysis that we've sort of codified for to sort of process all that information. We also want to pack it to go, but we believe the world is changing really from an ad-based model to a transactional model. In fact, conversation itself is a transaction.
Can you get into a little bit more what that means? Because at a high level, that sounds really nice. But what does that mean in terms of dollars and cents, or let's call it Bitcoin and Satoshi?
No dollars, just cents. In terms of let's take a quick example. Let's say you and I have a conversation about where should I go on holiday this winter, right? What we do is we actually index that conversation, extract all the good nuggets out of it, cluster it, graph it, all that good stuff, and then what we want to do is while you and I go to sleep, our data sort of lives on and has opens up shop and maybe we wake up in the morning, we realize we've made some sense on that, and which is tied to Ether now, but you know, it can be tied to anything else in the future.
And this is expected to grow in value over time, your data.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a formula. It depends on the type of it. There will be a shelf life, but it comes back to basic microeconomics. There's an inelasticity of demand sometimes, and people, you know, would want certain things that are in zeitgeist, certain things that are like, you know, high value. Hey, what's happening right now in Las Vegas? Right?
Well, blockchain is all about finding ways of creating liquidity for types of assets that didn't really have a tradable value before. So I guess you guys can start pivoting there as you move into a more decentralized model.
Absolutely. From day one, you know, I wrote a patent on peer-to-peer chat commerce, and from day one, we've had a marketplace model. We've had a closed-loop currency of gratitude called Sensei Coins. Our 3 million plus users have earned over 21 million Sensei Coins. So in every chat, there's a buyer-seller relationship. So we've sort of really baked that into the model from day one, and now we're moving beyond, you know, chat data to anyone that wants to oracleize any type of format of data.
Which is quite a lot. Well, there's a certain type of data that people rely on every day, and that's data on Wikipedia. I know I use it far too much. Well, you're trying to go and disrupt Wikipedia, and by try, evidently you may have already succeeded. Apparently your site has some 6 million articles in English, surpassing Wikipedia. One question I have for you is, because obviously you have a model and a method for monetizing this content, but Wikipedia spends a lot of effort on making sure that content is good. I'm not saying that it's always accurate, but some studies have shown that Wikipedia is actually more accurate than Encyclopedia Britannica, where Oxford and Cambridge guys are editing all the content. So how can you ensure that your system is going to go and create equivalently good data that people can rely upon?
Well, one thing that's happened to Everpedia recently that's very exciting, we actually have a living legend here in the audience with us, who is Larry Sanger, co-founder of Wikipedia. And Larry, we're announcing today, has joined Everpedia as our Chief Information Officer. It's a huge honor for us. We think this is going to totally change the game of information on the internet. The reason Larry decided to join us, we've been talking to him since we launched 2 years ago, but what finally made him decide this is what I got to do is the fact that we're going to decentralize and go onto the blockchain. My criticism, I love Wikipedia. I think it's one of the most amazing sites. My criticism of it is that it's a non-profit, and I think in some ways that has hampered its growth and evolution. What I believe in more than a for-profit model, however, is a decentralized model. So I think when we go decentralized, we're already one of the biggest sites on the internet, but I think going decentralized is going to build the proper incentive structure for people to give information to Everpedia, and it's going to make us the biggest site of all time.
So it's not just to give information, because once again, you can give lots of information. We just heard there's a flood coming, but how do you know it's good? How are you creating incentive models to ensure good content? Because Ryan's been working on that very hard.
So our token, which we're designing right now, is going to be responsible for editorial control over the site. So investing and contributing is also going to be connected to editorial control on the site. Sam, who's the president of the site, is the token architect, and he's building a very robust system which allows us to do things, it will allow us to do things that Wikipedia can't do, which is, for example, make wikis about breaking news.
Right, I mean, that happens today, but it's a difficult process. Ryan, you've spent a lot of time thinking about this problem, and you've been doing it in a high-profile way. So how do you go and ensure that the information people put on the internet is, well, good data, and it's worthy of reading? Because there's too much out there, and curating this content is a big challenge.
Yeah, so one of the things we do differently is that we're interested in content that people are willing to pay for. So for instance, first of all, in order to post content on our app, you have to pay 10 cents. So this is part of the revenue of our business. We added this feature originally. So originally, again, we only launched within the past 6 weeks, but when we first launched it, you know, like any other social media website, you could post content for free. But then we noticed that we had a bit of a spam problem. Some people were posting large volumes of content that wasn't very good. So we decided to try an experiment where we would just charge people 10 cents to post content because we already had payments built in. Why don't we try this and see if it works? It actually worked pretty well. The quality of content, well, first of all, the spam almost completely went away, and the overall quality is pretty high. So that's just an example of one thing we do. I'll give you a few other quick examples. So our users can place a paywall inside their content. So you can just charge people to view the full version of your content. So you earn money if people actually decide this is worth paying for and they actually pay you money to view the full version of your content. We have a couple of people that either have written an entire book or are writing entire books on the platform that way. So those are just some examples, but this is something that it's a hard problem. But I think in a nutshell, if people are actually willing to pay for something, that's a strong sign that it's good.
Well, you've got a bit of a chicken and the egg problem. So your site, which only launched 6 weeks ago, is already making a lot of traction, which is extraordinarily impressive. But the truth is, a lot of people aren't willing to pay anything for anything. How many people here see an app on the App Store for $2 and go, wait, that's way too expensive. No way am I going to pay for that $2 app that I might use every single day for the next 2 years. So are people going to pay 10 cents to post content? Are they going to pay to read content? Because you're seeing this problem in traditional media, which is being completely upended by the internet. And to some extent, you're fighting against the same forces that brought Napster to go and completely crumble the music industry. You're trying to turn things on its head. Is it going to work?
Yeah, so just to follow up on that, I mean, how many people in this room are buying something today? Are you paying for at least one thing? An Uber ride, a meal, something of the sort? I mean, I'm sure just about everyone in the room is going to pay for something if they haven't already today. Because you're paying for things that are worth paying for. And I don't think internet content's any different. If you're not willing to pay $2 for an app, that app might not be worth paying for. Maybe that's why you're not willing to pay for it. You'd probably pay $2 for something else if it's actually worth it for you. So I think in a nutshell, the reason is there's a lot of low-quality content on the internet, and the reason why you're not willing to pay for it is that it's not worth paying for. So I think if we curate a community of high-quality content that is worth paying for, you're going to see the difference and realize, oh, okay, well, that's worth 10 cents because I get $1 of value out of that, so of course I'm willing to pay 10 cents for that.
Okay, so Data Wallet is about to do an ICO. Tell us a little bit about why you've decided to go through this process, because you've been VC backed before.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we were, so we started experimenting with blockchain because we ran into a problem where we told people data brokerage is a problem because, it is a system which gives you no transparency into what is happening. You have no idea who the companies are that are sourcing your data. You have no idea what they do with your data. You have no idea who they're passing that data on to, or rather selling this data to. You have, you have no control in the process, and you do not get financially reimbursed. And so the latter two of those three, we were able to, address and fix. So we allow people to, control who gets access to their data and get financially reimbursed. But the problem was we had sort of like a catch-22 where we said, okay, if you want to join Data Wallet, we will also have to co-own your data because it's centrally stored. And so we were thinking of a way to make this wallet really self-sovereign, that we can give it to people and it is theirs and theirs only. And so that was something that we knew we needed to, incorporate the blockchain for. And we were thinking about ways we could switch our entire infrastructure to be crypto payment based. And at that point in time, it was clear that we could either pay out in a different cryptocurrency or launch our own proprietary token. And we simply thought that it would better reflect the overall value of data. And that was a concept that was very interesting to us. And it is something that we think will really allow people to understand that yes, data is an asset, and that is reflected in the value of this token.
And so why do you need your own token to do it? Why not pay in Dash, for instance? What are the additional attributes that your token's going to have?
Right. I mean, first and foremost, it allows us to do a couple of things, such as have a reserve that we can, for instance, spend on, for instance, the ecosystem. Right. So that is a user growth pool, incentivize users to join the platform very early on, but also the things such as put together a developer pool. Right. So we are actually putting together 15% of our overall raise, and we are plowing that back into a developer pool where we are financially supporting developers that are building on top of Data Wallet. They're building those data-driven applications. So those are all things, had we not launched our proprietary token, that would have not been possible.
So Sensei is also doing a token sale. Why have you decided to go this route after already raising substantial VC?
Yeah, we started Sensei with a fundamental belief about humanity, which is every human is valuable. And so in looking at the data that we had, we were like, okay, we've got this problem of these coins. We've got 21 million of them and growing fast. Maybe really relational database is not the best place to put these things, right? What if we had some kind of a ledger where we could be transparent, immutable, et cetera? We're like, well, gosh, that really sounds like a blockchain, right? And in terms of unique aspects of our utility token, two things on day one, which is knowledge attribution and knowledge access. And those two things form a loop. And it really, it's the best way to build a community based on empowerment rather than exploitation. Now, one thing I'd want to also add is that we're not only decentralizing data here, but we're decentralizing the act of publishing. And so it used to be, in the Napster days, this many people were publishers and all of us were consumers. At the end of the day, once automation takes all these jobs that we're working so hard at, everyone is going to be a publisher. And at some level, a developer, a publisher, a bot, everyone's going to have a level playing field. So.
Absolutely. And in the information age, what you're going to see, to Serafin's point yesterday, which I think was brilliant, is that the universal basic income just might be your knowledge. Just might be your knowledge. All right, everybody, thanks so much for the panel.